Hello everyone and welcome to Apna Funda's resume building course using AI tools. I hope you guys are excited because in the next 60 minutes we are going to take no matter which version your resume is into a final version that can actually be submitted to companies. We are going to use three powerful AI tools so that you don't have to work hard but you can work smart and get your work done in time. You don't need to spend weeks and hours getting your first draft ready because you have ChatGPT and a simple prompt that can get that same work done in minutes. You don't need to run behind seniors, mentors, and teachers to get your review done because you have a tool like Resume Worded, which can not only give you a score but also proper guidelines as to exactly how to improve your resume. You can use Kick Resume to create templates and a lot of other drafts and suggestions to improve your resume. A lot of this and a lot more will help you get your resume ready so that you can create a lasting impact on your recruiter. This course has 6 modules. In the first module, we will be covering the basics of ChatGPT. So if you've not used ChatGPT before, that should not be a problem because we're going to start with how to log in and create an account in ChatGPT. What are the different use cases and features that ChatGPT offers, and how is it that ChatGPT works? In the second module, we will be covering everything about a resume. What is the big hype about a resume? What is an applicant tracking software? And what are the components of a winning resume? In the third module, we will start with a demo where we'll create the resume from scratch. So that will have how do you create a first draft. In the fourth module, we will be covering optimizing that particular resume for the job role that you're applying for. In the fifth module, we will be going bullet by bullet to make sure that each of your bullet points are in the star format. And in the sixth and final module, we will be making sure that your resume is outcome oriented. At the end of these 6 modules, you will have a resume that will create a lasting impact on your recruiter. So I hope you guys are excited and see you in module 1. Hey there. If you've not used ChatGPT before, don't worry because I'm going to go to the ChatGPT screen and show you exactly how to log in and create an account.
So to create an account on ChatGPT, you can either press login if you already have an account, or you can go to sign up over here. Once you click on sign up, it is going to ask you to enter an email address or do a one-click sign up using Google, Microsoft, or your Apple account. So let me go ahead and type in account over here. And once I press on continue, it is asking me to put in a password over here. Once I've chosen my password, I can press on continue. Now, all I need to do is go to Gmail, open the email that has been sent by OpenAI, and click on verify. As you can see, there is an email from OpenAI which is asking me to verify my email. There is a button called verify email address. I'm going to press on it. Now it is asking me to populate my first name, my last name, and my birth date. Now I must fill in my mobile number over here. Once I click on send code, it is going to send me a code on my mobile number. That is going to send me a code on my mobile number. And ChatGPT is ready for use. So as you can see, when you open ChatGPT and create an account, you can toggle between the two ChatGPTs that are available. So as you can see, when I've opened ChatGPT with my account, I can toggle between the two ChatGPT models, 3.5 and 4. For this case, we'll be using 3.5 because in the free version, that is what is available. At the bottom, we have the input window or where you can put in your prompt and submit using this button over here, send message. Right above it, we have 4 options that ChatGPT has given to be able to start a conversation with ChatGPT. At the left-hand corner, we have the sidebar. Let's open it. At the top of it, we have the option of starting a new chat. And right below it, we have the history of all the other chats that we've had with ChatGPT. At the bottom, we have the profile section. If you click on these three buttons over here, you get to review the plan, give custom instructions to ChatGPT, and change your settings. In the right-hand corner at the bottom, there is a question mark. If we press on it, we get two options, help and FAQ and keyboard shortcuts. Let's explore some of the keyboard shortcuts that ChatGPT gives us. From opening a new chat to deleting a chat, there are 8 keyboard shortcuts that are available to you. So you can go ahead and start using them. So let's try and have a conversation with ChatGPT using one of the suggestions that ChatGPT has given us. Brainstorm 5 episode ideas for my new podcast on urban design. And look at that. ChatGPT has taken less than a couple seconds to give me 5 great ideas. Now, at this point, if I don't like the ideas that are there, I can go ahead and edit the prompt that I have. I can add some context. That is, I will be calling some esteemed guests on the show. So this is enough context. Now I can save and submit to be able to get a new answer from ChatGPT. So as you can see, I can use this button at the bottom to either regenerate the answer, or what I could do is go back and review the answer that I had before. At this point, I can either copy the answer that I have if I like it. Additionally, I can give feedback to ChatGPT by pressing one of these two buttons. That is, if I like it or if I don't like it. I hope this was useful to you and you will be able to use ChatGPT much better going ahead.
ChatGPT was launched in November 2022, but it took only 5 days to reach 1 million users. Do you know why it was able to get these numbers? It is because ChatGPT can perform a range of activities. From writing code to analyzing data, it can do anything that you can imagine. How is it doing all of this? It is because it is being powered by a large language model. To understand how a large language model works, let's take a simple example of a Google search. What Google does is a fixed word search. Whatever you type into the Google search bar and hit enter, it looks for this particular word or phrase in digital records and gives you links where this word or similar words have appeared. What ChatGPT does is it takes it to the next level. Instead of giving you these links, it is going over all of these links by itself and finding the context as to why and when these words were used. Using all of this information, it is making predictions about the best paragraph or the next best word that will make sense for you. So it is doing all of this in a matter of seconds. Now that we understand how ChatGPT works, let's go on to the resume section in Module 2. Hey there! Now that you have your ChatGPT working, let's get started on the resume. Let's start by answering 2 questions. What is a resume and why is it that we are going to be working on it? A resume is nothing but a single sheet of paper that has the chronological list of your education, your achievements, and your extracurricular activities. So it should be rather simple to make, right? But why is it that people spend hours and days trying to create the perfect resume? The reason being that instead of 1,000 people applying for a job, now there are 1 lakh people applying for a job. What that means is a recruiter spends less than 6 seconds looking at a resume. What does that mean and how does that impact your filtration process? Let's understand with a simple quiz. If I were a recruiter, I would have selected resume 2 because the information is a lot more accessible. The skills and the certificates have not only been highlighted in separate text boxes, but in a separate column, so it is very easy to read. The font and the colors are making it aesthetically pleasing, and the photo is making it personal. But what if I were to tell you that a human is not looking at this resume, but instead a software is filtering it? How would that change things? Most companies use an applicant tracking software at least in the first round of reviews, and this software is unable to read images and graphics. It is unable to read anything in the footer or header, in text boxes, or even in multiple columns. What does that mean? The second resume would most likely get rejected because half the information would not be read by the software. This is the reason why 98% of the applicants get rejected at their resume alone, because they don't know that they are making these mistakes. A winning resume that creates a lasting impact on your recruiter has these six things. It has short points. It is ordered according to the job that you're applying for. It has been optimized for the job description. It has star format for all your bullet points. It is outcome oriented. And of course, it is ATS compatible. With these six things, you will be able to get a foot in the door and get your resume shortlisted. So let's start with a demo in the next module. Hey there! Now that we've understood why we are creating a resume, let's get started on the process. We are going to be making the resume from scratch for a digital marketing position at Zomato. For this, we are going to start with the first draft. When creating the first draft, most people are overwhelmed because they don't know where to start. They don't know what are the points or the content pieces they should include. To get rid of this problem, which took me 7 days to overcome, let's use a prompting pattern called a flipped interaction pattern, where instead of you telling ChatGPT what to do, ChatGPT will tell you what to do. What do I mean? Let's get to the demo screen and let me show you.
As you can see, we already have the ChatGPT screen on. We're using ChatGPT 3.5 so that you can replicate everything that we are doing on call today. You must have noticed that we are using a new chat, and the reason for that being we are going to train this chat to play a particular role. So we needed it to be a new chat. Now, let me quickly type in the prompt and show you just what we are going to have ChatGPT do for us. From now on, I would like you to ask me questions to write a resume for the role of a digital marketer. When you have enough information for the resume, format the resume. Now, I have used the role of a digital marketer, but depending on the role that you are applying for, which could be a software developer or a financial analyst, you can just put it in over here, and this prompt is going to work for you irrespective of the job role that you are applying for. Now, let's hit enter and see what is the result that we get. And look at that. ChatGPT is giving us a questionnaire. And this is what I meant by flipped interaction pattern. That is, instead of me giving it these pointers and telling it exactly what to put into my resume, ChatGPT is going to give me the starting point or the questions that I need to answer to be able to get the first draft of the resume. Now, let's just go over this for once. So it has asked me to fill in the contact information, the objective statement, professional summary, education, certifications, work experience. I know this is a little overwhelming, and a lot of you must be thinking that if I have to fill this, I might as well make the resume from scratch, right? Why will I have to go through this process of giving this information to ChatGPT? And that is exactly what I'm going to show you right now. That when you are starting to make your resume, you don't always have a very clear idea of exactly what you want to write. So you will have some words, some phrases, and some concept ideas, but you will take a lot of time to conceptualize it and put it into proper phrases. But we are going to use ChatGPT to help us with that. So I have already pre-filled this form, and I want to show you the answers that I have written so that it's easy for us to understand that how, with minimal effort, we can get the maximum output. So let me quickly go ahead and paste this and read it out to you. So in the beginning, as you can see, I've given it my contact information. For the objective, I couldn't think of anything right off the bat, so I have left it blank because I intend to come back to it at a later point. I've given it everything, all the information about my education, my certifications, which are relevant to the job that I'm applying to. And this is the part that I want you to pay attention to because this is the work experience bit. I have given it 3 simple sentences. I've said that I've created marketing strategy for different social media channels, achieved 1 million reach on videos on Instagram and Facebook, and analyzed audiences who viewed the video. So even though this has given me a brief idea about exactly what was done, like these were the tasks that I performed, but this is typically not what you would see on a resume, right? Because a resume sentence is generally like 2 sentences long. It is quantified. The impact is very evident. None of which is evident over here. These are just phrases. But let me hit enter and let's see what ChatGPT can do with this minimal information that I'm going to give it. And there you see it. So while we were talking, ChatGPT has gone ahead and already created the first draft, and it is pretty well structured. Now, the top bit has all the contact details, just the way we see in a resume. Now, objective. Like, I want to pause over here because I want to let you know that I had not provided the objective, and we can just scroll up and verify that we had not provided any objective. But what ChatGPT has done is it has gone through the remaining part of the resume and drafted this objective for me. And let's just read it to see whether it is good or not. Passionate and results driven digital marketer with a strong background in data analysis, market research, and content planning, seeking to leverage my skills and experience to drive digital marketing success for a forward thinking organization. And this is actually a pretty great first draft because it has got my brain juices flowing. Right now, I know exactly what I want to add or what I want to remove in this particular objective. So, the initial roadblock that I had in being able to think about what to put in the objective, that sort of gets solved. So you get the drift, right? Now it has organized all the educational information properly with the course on the top, the college, and then the years, and the places where I've included the GPA. It has also given me the GPA at the bottom. The certification has been mentioned, and the part that I was excited about, the work experience. So it has mentioned that I've developed and executed marketing strategies for various social media channels, achieved 1 million reach on Instagram and Facebook video content, and conducted in-depth audience analysis to refine content targeting. And now, if you look at this, it has used some powerful action words like conducted in-depth audience analysis, right? And it is also contextualized it by saying that I did it to refine content targeting. And this is something I had not mentioned in the beginning, but ChatGPT has understood the context in which I was saying that I performed that task, and it has gone ahead and drafted one version for me. So this is actually a pretty great first draft because all the skills have been put in place, the software tools, the achievements, and extracurricular activities. So I have a pretty great first draft, which is ready for review, right? I can take this to a couple of my seniors and ask them if I'm moving in the right direction. But like instead of human eyes, we are going to take this to AI eyes. So let's get started on that in the next session. In the previous session, we saw that using a prompting pattern called flipped interaction pattern, we were able to get ChatGPT to give us a form to fill out. And once we filled out that form using simple answers, we were able to get a very good first draft that was ready for review. Now, in order to copy this resume and put it into the next software, which is the AI tool Resume Worded, all you need to do is click on copy code over here. Once you've copied this code, you must head over to Google Docs and paste it over there. Once you've pasted the document, it's going to look something like this. So it has the contact details on the top, the objective, education, and all the other details that ChatGPT had given us. So what we need to do now is click on File and download this as a PDF document. Once this is ready, we will head over to Resume Worded and upload it over there. So this tool has actually been trained using thousands of resumes to be able to tell you exactly what are the changes you should make to make a winning resume. Now, as I upload my resume for an entry-level position over here, I want you guys to take a guess as to what is the score that we could get. The score that we've gotten is 27. And at this point, I don't want you guys to get demotivated because this is actually a pretty great score for having spent only 10 minutes on the resume. So the good thing about this tool is that apart from giving you a score, which basically tells you exactly how far you need to go to be able to reach the top resume, it also gives you qualitative feedback, qualitative and quantitative feedback as to how exactly to improve your resume. If you look at the impact section, it is talking about how I have not quantified impact. That is, I have to add more numbers and metrics. And that makes sense because apart from this sentence over here, I haven't really included any numbers in my resume. It is spoken about how I've used weak action words. And that also makes sense because if you remember reading some of the other resumes, they use words like led, spearheaded, successfully completed. And those are all positive action words that make it sound like you have completed something, achieved something great. Let's look at the other section, brevity. It talks about how my resume length is very short. And that is true because if I put the skills and tools one after the other in one sentence, the resume is going to look pretty short. It is spoken about how the bullet point length is small. And if you notice, all my bullet points are actually one sentence long. And if you look at resumes that gets shortlisted, you will notice that all of them have at least 2 sentences worth of information. It's spoken about how I've used filler words in my resume. So these are the different things that I can work on. Now I can move to the next section, which is style, where I have gotten a reasonably good score of 68, but it is asking me to improve things like buzzwords and cliches, readability, dates, and personal pronouns. So I have to make sure that I've not used any pronouns like I, me in my resume. Once I'm done with that, I can head on to the section that I've scored the least on, that is sections. It is spoken about how I've used unnecessary sections in my particular resume. So this is something that I want to get started on right away. I want to format my resume and put it into the correct template. And for this purpose, I'm going to use Resume Worded to give me a template that is ATS optimized. So let's head on to the next session to be able to see how we're going to do that. In the previous session, we had used Resume Worded to give us a score for the resume, and we had also gone over the different guidelines that it had as to how to improve the resume to reach one of the top resumes. In this session, we are going to select an ATS optimized template from Resume Worded and put all the details that we have so far into this particular template and attack the sections guideline that Resume Worded had given us. So let's go ahead and get started. As we scroll through the templates, I can see that some of them are free and some of them are premium. So it is up to you to decide that if you want to pay for the tool and buy and get the premium resume templates, or you can go ahead and use the free ones at first. I particularly like this clean modern look because there is a color difference over here. Along with it, there is an objective statement on top, there is work experience, and all the other details that are mentioned. It is pretty similar to what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. So this gets downloaded in a Google Doc format, so you can easily go ahead and paste everything that you have into this particular template. Once you've done that, your resume is going to go from this to this. Now that we have this out of the way, I'll see you in the next module where we are optimizing this resume for the job description.
Hey there. In this module, we are going to learn how to optimize our resume for the job role that we are applying for. But before we go ahead and do that, let's spend some time to understand why are we doing it. When we submit our profile to a company, we submit a single sheet of paper with all of our experience, our skills, and our achievements. But what about the skills and experience that the company is looking for? In order to be shortlisted by the company of your dreams, you need to make sure the skills and experience that you have marries to the skills and experience that the company is looking for. The ATS software works in a way where it looks for words that have been mentioned in the job description in your resume. So in order to be shortlisted, you need to make sure you have mentioned all of those words in your resume. In order to do this, we are going to use a different prompting pattern called the persona prompting pattern on ChatGPT. This is my favorite prompting pattern, and I'm pretty sure once I teach it to you, you are going to use it all the time because it is really flexible. Today, I'm going to assign ChatGPT the role of an HR recruiter, but you can use it to get ChatGPT to play any role that you want. Let's head to the next session and see how exactly we are going to get ChatGPT to help us optimize our resume.
We are back on the ChatGPT screen, so let me quickly type in my prompt and read it out to you. You are an expert resume writer with over 20 years of experience working with job seekers trying to land a role in marketing. Summarize the 3 most important responsibilities in this job description. Before I go ahead and give it the job description, let me quickly tell you what is the prompt that I have written over here. So like I was mentioning in the previous session, that we are going to be using a persona pattern, and over here we are going to be assigning it the role of an expert resume writer with over 20 years of experience. But what I've additionally done is mention that the experience is in a particular sector, that is marketing. And the reason I've done that is because I'm applying to the marketing role. But depending on the sector and industry that you are applying for, you can go ahead and change this, and this prompt is going to work for you. Now I'm going to head over to the Zomato's website to be able to get the job description from there. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it in over here. As you can see, there are a lot of responsibilities that Zomato wants us to be able to do. Let me hit enter, and as ChatGPT will give me the answer, let's go ahead and read this particular job description. It is talking about strategy development, campaign planning and execution, content strategy, SEO and SEM optimization, performance analysis, social media management, customer relationship management, collaboration and communication, and it is spoken about a bunch of skills as well. So, even though these particular job responsibilities are pretty straightforward, but there are a lot of them, and I can't possibly include everything in my resume. So, I needed to give me the three most important ones so that I have just enough points to be selected by the ATS software. Now, let's look at the response that ChatGPT has given us. And look at that. Three neat points. It has asked me to make sure that I mention about strategy development, campaign planning and execution, and content strategy, because these form the pillars of a digital marketing role. And if I don't mention these 3 points, then it is likely that I may not get shortlisted. So now, in order to include these points into the resume, I'm going to use another prompt, which is going to make this process much simpler for me. So let me quickly go ahead and copy my prompt and bring it onto the screen. Based on these three most important responsibilities from the job description, please add points to my resume's internship experience. Do not make information up, and here is my resume. Now, before I give it my resume, you will notice two things. Firstly, I'm using the same chat. And the reason for that being, I have already assigned it the role of an expert resume writer, and I wanted to continue to behave in the same manner. That is why I'm using the same chat. The other thing that you'll notice is that I'm asking you to make changes only in the internship experience. And the reason for that being, I don't want it to go ahead and add skills or education experience that does not exist. So that is why only in the internship experience, I wanted to make changes. Now for the resume, I'm going to go to the Google Doc that we had and copy the resume that we last created using the template from Resume Worded and paste it over here. This is how it will appear. And once we have that ready, we're going to hit enter and wait for ChatGPT to give us the answer. And look at that. ChatGPT has bulked up all of my points and even increased the number of bullet points that we had. Now, in order to sort of analyze that, what are the changes that ChatGPT has made, because I'll have to scroll up and then scroll down and compare each sentence. So I'm getting confused at this point. So I'm going to use another amazing hack and get all of this information organized so that it's easy for me to analyze. Like I said, we should not have to work hard, but we should be able to work smart to get our work done in time. The prompt that I'm using this time is list out the differences between the points in my original resume and your suggested draft in a table format with 2 columns, original and updated. Be specific and list out exactly what was changed down to the exact wording. Now let me hit enter and let's see if ChatGPT is able to give it to us. And look at that. As you can see, the ChatGPT has created a table for me where it has compared the original bullet points with the updated bullet points. And now it becomes so much easier for me to be able to analyze exactly what has changed down to the exact wording. So instead of writing develop effective marketing strategies for diverse social media channels, it has added a sentence at the end saying aligning them with the company's overarching business goals and objectives. So we can already understand that it is using some of the words from the JD over here. Now let's look at another bullet point, that is effectively collaborated with cross-functional team members to brainstorm innovative ideas and creative concepts, contributing to the development of cutting-edge marketing campaigns that resonated with the target audience. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I needed words like cross-functional team members, target market, target audience, cutting-edge marketing campaigns. These are the words that I wanted in my resume to make sure that it is aligned to the job description that I'm applying for. Now that we have all of these points, we can handpick the points that we want to include in a resume and get ready to optimize the resume into the STAR format. So let's see you in the next module.
In the previous session, you learned how to take your resume and, in a matter of 6 minutes, how to optimize it for the job role that you're applying for. So, if you can do this in 6 minutes, that means you can create customized resumes for all the companies that you're applying for. But before you go ahead and press Control C and Control V for your resume, I want to give you a small disclaimer. You must have heard about ChatGPT hallucinations. What happens in a hallucination is that ChatGPT makes up information that may not exist. In order to safeguard yourself from this problem of hallucinations, there are three things that we advise you do. Firstly, you can mention it in your prompt. How? Just the way we did in the previous session. Mention, do not make information up. And this simple sentence is enough to make sure that ChatGPT does not make any information up. But in case this doesn't work, you can make a table similar to the one that we had done before to be able to understand exactly what changes were made, and you can use your judgment to understand what are the facts that are not true and what are the facts that you can actually include in your resume. Third, and most importantly, you must trust your own eyes because no matter what comes out of ChatGPT, the responsibility is with you. So you must proofread everything that comes out before you paste it in and call it your experience and your achievements. See you in the next module. Hey there! In the previous module, we learned how to optimize our resume for the job role that we are applying for. In this module, we are going to learn how to take that resume and optimize each bullet point into the star format. Now, before we go ahead and do that, let's understand what is the star format and why is it that we are trying to get our entire resume into that structure. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. As soon as you put your bullet point into this structure, you not only provide the reader some context as to why were you assigned that particular task, but you also give them the different actions or the steps that you performed to be able to achieve the task and what was the final impact or the result of the task that you performed. This indicates to the recruiter that you are a goals-oriented person. You have understood what was the top line or the bottom line impact on the company. This gives you a competitive advantage against all the other candidates who are applying with the same level of qualification as you. To do this, we are going to use ChatGPT and a new prompting pattern called few-shot prompting. In few-shot prompting, we give ChatGPT certain examples to be able to replicate the results that we want. Let's see in the next session how we are going to do this.
As you can see, I'm back on the ChatGPT screen and I've opened a new chat because I have to retrain this chat. Let me quickly type in my prompt so that you can read it. You are an expert resume writer with over 20 years of experience. And you must have noticed this is very much like the persona pattern that we were discussing in the previous module. Like I told you, it is a really flexible prompting pattern that you're going to use all the time. Let's read the rest of the prompt. Here is a bullet point I have in my resume. No action needed for now. If you understand, please respond with a yes. And I've gone ahead and given it the bullet point, which is achieved 1 million reach on video campaigns on Instagram and Facebook. So all I want ChatGPT to do at this particular point is assume the role of an expert resume writer and just understand the bullet point that I'm giving it. Let's hit enter and see if ChatGPT gets it. There, ChatGPT has responded with a yes. So I'm ready to put in the second half of my prompt. The second half of my prompt reads, rewrite this bullet point using the structure accomplished X by the measure Y that resulted in Z. And this is the famous star structure that we were discussing in the previous session. I've gone ahead and given ChatGPT an example to be able to replicate my bullet point into this exact structure. Additionally, I've asked ChatGPT to use compelling language, add a number, and keep the bullet point within 30 words. So let's see if ChatGPT can give us a beautiful answer. And there you have it. Generated a staggering 1 million social media reach across Instagram and Facebook by crafting engaging video campaigns, driving heightened brand exposure and audience engagement. And this is exactly what we were talking about. Apart from mentioning the result, that is the 1 million social media reach, we are also talking about what was the task that we performed, that is we crafted engaging video campaigns, and what was the particular situation, that is we wanted to heighten brand exposure and audience engagement. And I have just done this for one bullet point on your resume. you have to go ahead and do the same thing for all the bullet points to make sure that you have a lasting impression on your recruiter. So I hope you'll have fun doing this, and I'm going to see you in the next module.
Hey there! In the previous module, we learned how to use few shot prompting to optimize each bullet point on a resume into the star structure. In this module, we are going to learn how to get our resume to be outcome oriented. While adding an outcome to a bullet point on the resume, most people struggle. They struggle because they don't know how to quantify the impact that they've created. But most experiences can be quantified in many ways. When talking about your mentorship experience, you can do a lot more than just specify how many people you mentored. Similarly, when you're talking about your volunteer experience, you can do a lot more than just specify the community with which you volunteered or the number of hours of volunteer work you had. To do this, we are going to use ChatGPT to help us generate ideas. So let's meet you in the next session where we see how we can do this in our resume.
As you can see, I'm back on the ChatGPT screen and I've opened a new chat because I want to retrain this chat. So let me quickly type in my prompt so that you can read it. You are an expert resume writer with over 20 years of experience. Here is a bullet point I have in my resume. No action needed for now. If you understand, please respond with a yes. Here is my bullet point. Organized workshops and seminars to enhance marketing knowledge among peers. So you may have noticed this is very similar to the prompting pattern that we used in the previous module, module 5, and even module 4 with the persona pattern that we've used on the top. As you would remember, all we want ChatGPT to do at this particular point is assume the role of an expert resume writer and to understand the bullet point that I've given it. So let's hit enter and see if ChatGPT gets it. And ChatGPT has responded with a yes. So I am ready to put in the second part of my prompt. The second part of the prompt is pretty straightforward and very similar to the question that you actually have in your mind. I don't know how my success was measured. Please give me suggestions where and how I can add quantifiable and measurable metrics in this bullet point. This is exactly what we were discussing in the previous session. So let's hit enter and see what are the options that ChatGPT can give us. As you can see, not just one or two, ChatGPT has given us 6 examples or 6 ideas as to quantify how exactly this experience can be measured. And not just that, it has also given us exact illustrations of how we can put this in our bullet point format. So apart from attendance numbers, we can talk about participant feedback, improvement in knowledge, impact on marketing initiatives, retention and application, and cost efficiency. You can go through each of these examples and see which is the one that best illustrates your experience. Let's go through some of them. Optimized budget allocation, reducing workshop costs by 10% while maintaining high quality content and engagement. And let me tell you, this is not a common point. So if this is true for your particular experience, you should definitely specify this. Let's look at another one. 88% of the workshop participants applied marketing concepts learned within 30 days of the session. And this is another really powerful point because it talks about what was the application of that particular workshop, which means how significant was your workshop and what was the lasting impact that it had. At this particular point, I want to give you a disclaimer. So let's head over to the next session.
In the previous session, we learned how to use ChatGPT to generate outcome suggestions for us. And while ChatGPT gave us 6 amazing outcome suggestions, at this point, we must exercise some caution. We have to make sure that the facts and figures that we mention in these bullet points are representative of actuals. How do we do that? We have to use our mentors, peers, and teachers to give us a ballpark for these numbers. You must remember that the recruiter was at one point a recruitee. So they have an understanding of the ballpark of the impact that you can create in your organization and even in your college. So make sure that you get your numbers right so that when you are in an interview, you don't get tongue-tied. So let's see you in the next session where we conclude.
The resume will look somewhat like this. From the top, I have removed the unnecessary summary section. I've formatted my education section to have the score on the right and the leadership experience for that particular university right below it. My work experience has been bulked up. Each bullet point is minimum 2 lines long, and each of them has a lot of numbers, which is quantifying exactly the impact that I had. As you will notice, I've done that for the project work as well as the leadership experience as well. Additionally, I've used strong action words like spearheaded, executed, awarded, improved brand visibility, and other such words. I've gotten the skills to be organized in a much better way. So I've incorporated most of the feedback that Resume Worded had given me. So now it is time to download this resume and put it back into that software. So while I go ahead and do that, why don't you guys take a guess as to what would our score be now? As you can see, I've gotten a score of 76, which is 49 points above the first draft that I had. So it is great that in a matter of 40 minutes, I was able to get to this draft. I'm very close to one of the top resumes. All I need to do is make some minor changes. And Resume Worded still has some suggestions for me. So let's review the sections and see where can we make changes. In impact, I have a score of 85, so I can leave it for now. Brevity is at 88, so again I can leave that. In style, I've gotten 75, so I should probably review that. So Resume Worded is suggesting that I should look at the readability. I should try and format my dates in a better way. Make sure that there is no passive voice, personal pronouns, and inconsistency in terms of punctuation. So these are some checks that I can quickly go ahead and do and make sure that this goes up above 80. Let's look at the sections bit. So if you will remember, the last time I scored 0 on this. But as you can see, I've been able to bring up the score to 77. The other thing that Resume Worded has suggested to me is to fix my skill section. So I should probably go ahead and try and reformat this in a way that is more conducive for readability. Once I've done that, I will be able to bring up my score to one of the top resumes. So I hope this was useful for you guys and you will be able to follow this entire demo step by step to get your score up for the resume and get the job that you are applying for.
Hey there! In the previous couple modules, we have taken you step by step to demo exactly how to take your resume, no matter which version it is in, to a final version that you can actually submit to companies. I hope you were able to follow along, and if not, please feel free to go back to the sessions and review everything that we have taught. If you have feedback for us, please go ahead and type it in the review section because we are more than happy to know if you had as much fun as we had while creating this session. So, all the best for your placement season and see you in the other courses.